Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 26, isn't it? I think that's what's in the label, 26, season 2. All right, so today's episode 2 of season 2, but I've decided, don't ask me why, just because I've decided this way, that the episodes should be in order, independently of which season they belong to. So yeah, that was my thought process, as you can see, or as you can tell, very well thought out, as you can see. Anyway, welcome everybody. Hope you're all doing well in this pandemic still. Can't believe that we're still living this. We're going to talk about that still, but the show was born out of a pandemic, and 1 year after that, it's more than 1 year now. I think the first episode was in April, if I'm not mistaken, and we are in June, so more than 1 year for sure. But we're still dealing with the same thing, so yeah, could be better. So I hope everyone's doing fine. Let me see how you guys doing. Hi everyone. So we have UK watching, we have Bangladesh watching. These are some of the usual suspects, as I often say. So there's many more people here, so yeah, tell us where you're watching this tonight. Why not? It would be great to know where's everybody tonight. At least where I'm at is tonight, still very sunny, but yeah, so there's the Russia. Cool. So there's as you probably are hearing now, there's some music on the background. If it's too distracting or if it's too loud, just let me know, okay? So I thought it was like good addition for the second season, just to not just having me just with my voice only. So if it's too distracting, just let me know and switch it off. Easy. All right. Anyway, so how's everyone doing? From what I can see on the chat, everybody's really good, and there was actually a very big surprise yesterday, right? So for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, so we've made available all the tech corners from season 1 into a bundle, free bundle, really free. I'm not playing games or anything like that. It's really free. The only thing that you have to do is to go to actually I have prepped this already. So I've just put that URL there, and if you go there, you can have for free, you'll be able to check all the tech corners from season 1 compiled into just one bundle. As I said, free. You don't have to do anything apart from just sign up to put your credentials. That's it. And the intention here is for everybody, because some people asked me this, or they showed like the interest on having something like this, just to experience what the next level program is like in terms of like the platform and how things will look, and what's the what's basically the experience. And so we've made this available in this way. So I hope you liked it. Received very good, very positive comments, so that's a good thing, I would say. So thank you everybody for all your kind words. And yeah, it's there. So another advantage of going there, apart from the content obviously, is the fact that you can have access to the forum, in which you can chat and with the either previous people that were on the program or current ones, so they will be there as well with you. But you also have like a dedicated channel for people that are just in the free bundle, just to exchange some information. Why not? But you have also the ability of checking with people from other past classes or current ones. Be polite, okay? They're all very good, but they're very busy as well. So if they don't reply to you immediately, they will, I'm sure. Okay, we have some people watching tonight that are there, like for example Sabine. At least I saw Sabine, that it's in the forum. So, and she's, by the way, she's a moderator of this channel, so you have to behave, otherwise you'll be kicked out. No, that's not gonna happen. Right, Sabine? Well, I don't know, it's up to her. Anyway, so yeah, so it's basically for everybody to have a little taste of the program, and with it, apart from the things that I just mentioned, there's also special deals that will remain there for for the next level program if you'd like to enroll in the next class, which is soon to be open. We're talking about just a few days. Okay. Wow, I can see that tonight our bot is back. Oh, okay, cool. So all right, so because I think last session it was like asleep or something, I didn't see him, and we wanted to do, and we did anyway, the giveaway, but the bot failed me because it was not showing up. Anyway, welcome back, bot, as well. So yeah, so there's just a few days left for you guys to have like that special offer on the next level program by paying a small deposit. I'm sure, or I want to believe that everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to the website, just register, and we will send you all the information. There's still days to do that, but just a few days more. Okay. So yeah, that's it. Apart from that, what happened these couple of weeks? Not like, I don't think not much from what I could read. Anyway, let's see what I have in here. So of course we're gonna start with the pandemic. So regarding the UK, and I always mention UK for obvious reasons, so the social restrictions, the ending of social restrictions was delayed by around 1 month, so it's not to expect to see the end of these measures by the end of July. And so we'll see what happens there, but what happens with this case. But it seems like things are like, you know, the infection rate is like going up very rapidly, and so we'll see what happens, I guess. But cases are on the rise again. I think now it's like a serious situation in the UK especially, but not only. So definitely, and I mentioned this last time, definitely a third wave is to be expected, unfortunately. Well, some people say that we are already in this third wave in the UK, and it seems like South Africa is definitely already in the third wave, and things are not too good over there. The Delta variant is representing in the UK more than 98%. I think it's like something crazy like that. 98% of the whole cases. So yeah, it's definitely the dominant variant, and it will be, according to what I read, it will be the dominant variant in the entire world. I don't know exactly when this to be expected, but it's to be expected. And speaking of which, the Euro Cup is ongoing, as you know. Good luck to every country that we have in here from Europe. They are participating on the Euro Cup, but the final apparently is to be moved from the UK to where, I don't know, but it seems like the Italian Prime Minister said it should be moved to Rome. I don't know how this will pan out, but yeah, if something like this is already happening, it seems like definitely governments and you know, people that are in charge of this situation are definitely seeing like a really rapid case surge again. So hope everybody is fine, stay safe for sure. Also, the situation is getting worse in many Russian regions, it seems. I don't know, we have someone from Russia, so maybe you can confirm that. But yeah, things like everybody it seems like we're watching the same movie again, almost. North Korea is in a tense food shortage situation, also indirectly related with the pandemic. This happens in the 90s. This happened in the 90s in North Korea, and it seems like it's happening again. So yeah, things not looking too good on this front. But this is what's happening on the regarding the pandemic. And I mean, not unfortunately, I would love to see and to say that other types of news, but this is what we're dealing at the moment still. There are countries, for example, India, still in a very and Brazil in a very difficult situation. So I hope everybody, if we have people watching now, I hope that you and your families are all good, and this will end at some point. Okay, in one way or another, this will end. So regarding Brexit, there's actually something I would say funny. I'm not sure if that's the right way to put it, but get this. So it's not completely done, yeah, like the talks and all that stuff, but get this. So the EU prepares now to cut the amount of British TV and film shown in Europe in the era post-Brexit. So it's like a retaliation, sort of. I read this article, and it seems like it's because there's too much stuff from the UK in the rest of the countries in Europe, but at the same time, this it sounds like a retaliation almost. So we'll see what happens here, but this can mean something, I don't know exactly what, to our industry, to VFX. Maybe not much, but I thought it was like something to mention today anyway. VFX wise, speaking of VFX wise, it seems like the prediction that we set out. Hello Neil, hey, good to see you here. So I was saying, VFX wise, it seems like the prediction that we did in the beginning of this show, really, about like this is like a really bad time for VFX at the moment because all the productions were stopped, and hopefully now at least the great majority of people is not in that situation anymore. Maybe some of you are. That's why also this show is continuing to help up. If it helps one person, is already a good investment. But yeah, it seems like our prediction in terms of like, the recovery is definitely happening because a lot of companies are hiring at the moment. This was actually a conversation, since Neil is here, this was a conversation actually that I had with Neil. Neil is in the program as well, by the way, and we had this conversation the other day. So it's definitely a good moment, and I think, if it's already like this, a lot of these things is really related with subscription video on demand, as you know, like the Netflixes and Amazons of the world. That's basically the core part of what's happening in terms of work for our industry. But if this is already like this, imagine what would happen to film when the pandemic eases a bit. That will be, I would say a very good moment, because this is already happening, and a lot of people are eager to just enjoy life, to go out, to go to cinema, to go to restaurants again, and the UK is already a little bit like that, which is great to see, but London especially, I'm not too sure in the rest of the country, but I'm sure it's the same. But yeah, I mean, this will be the same for every around the world at some point, so it's to be expected, a very good moment, I would say, for VFX, okay, for sure, because imagine all that investment that is now blocked because of the pandemic. Of course, the investors need to recoup that money at least, and to make more. So for sure, we're gonna have a lot of things happening on this front, for sure. And that's it for the intro part regarding, what happened this week news-wise, pandemic-wise. Technical highlight of the week, I've selected it's a two-parter video from Lars Wemier. He sent me a message a few months back, just congratulating the show, and thank you once again, Lars. But he made an interesting video about the digital zombie. So I'll be putting if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll be putting the links soon in the description. And yeah, so two parts, interesting stuff. All right, speaking of technicalities and technique stuff, it's time for, right? It's time for Tech Corner. So today we're going to talk, for the first time, we're going to talk about Python. Not in the way that you probably are expecting, and I'm not going to teach people how to deal with Python in terms of syntax or anything like that, but I'm showing something unusual that you can do with Python. It's with experience. I'm just saying this just to set the expectations. It's with the experience that this type of stuff, but hopefully you will enjoy it, and I hope that's the case. And then we're gonna have our guest, and some of you might know him for sure. Okay, we'll see what I'm talking about when we come back from the tech corner. Okay, so tech corner now. See you in around 10 minutes. All right, enjoy. Today we're going to talk about Python. Yes, finally we're going to talk about Python. Of course, my intention is not to talk about the syntax necessarily speaking, but to show you some of the things that you can achieve with Python. And probably the majority of you are not aware of what I'm about to show you, or not aware of the possibility of Nuke showing you what I'm about to show you now. So it all starts with displaying all the available knobs in each node. For example, with this grade, we know that we have all these knobs available, right? So if, for example, I want to access this knob here and change it, and I know that if I put my mouse over that knob is called white, I have to access that knob by calling it white. For example, Nuke selected node. Now I'm going to specify the knob that I know that although I can see its gain, but inside the node that knob is called white. I can then access to that knob and then set a certain value, for example 10. So if I enter, now this changed to 10, right? And I can do that for every knob that I have available in here. And to know the name of the knob, you just put the mouse over. If you don't know this by the top of your head, just put the mouse over, and that knob, the actual knob itself, not the name that you see here, it's going to be displayed here. And that's how you build your knowledge around all of these things. But there are certain knobs that are hidden from you. They're not available in here. And the way that you're going to list all the knobs, it's going to be the following. So let's say that I want to access all the knobs from, whatever selection that I have. In this case, it's a grade, but it can be other one. I can say that I'm going to use a for loop. And again, I'm not going to get into what a for loop is, nothing like that. I'm just going to show you how to do certain things. So assuming that you already know a little bit of all of these things that I'm about to show you. So I'm going to say for any Nuke selected node, I'm going to access to the knobs, and I'm going to print their names. Print and then here I'll have all the knobs available for every single node, every single one of them. So this one here probably has some knobs that are not available here for me to choose. For example, the mask from flag, I can't see it here. There's definitely knobs here that you don't have access by just opening the panel. And this opens actually possibility of asking the software to show you some things that otherwise are not going to be possible for it to show you and for you to see it. And some of these things can be useful. What I'm about to show you is going to be based on the viewer. So this viewer here on the 3D has some hidden knobs that you can activate at a given time to show you certain things that you didn't think they were possible to see. So let's take a look at this. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this node, and we're going to go to the Nuke active viewer. Okay, so we're going to do for n in Nuke active viewer. We're going to access to it via .node, via .knobs. And if we print that, you'll see that you have, all of this stuff here. And if we do a quick filter to just show us the ones that are starting with show, like if show in n, print n. Okay, we have all of this available. These are the ones that I want us to focus today. Let's say that we have a particle system like this one here. And let's say that we want to make available the IDs of each one of these particles. Okay, we know that we don't have any option that we can use to activate that in here or anywhere else. But with this stuff, we can, because we know that, for example, here I can say that show points, it's one of the options. So let's copy this expression first. At the moment, all of these knobs are disabled. So we have to find a way of enabling them. We're gonna actually use, instead of a for loop as we did there, we're gonna go to that specific knob or knobs that we want to activate. You go to, instead of knobs, you want to go to a specific knob. Let's say that I want the show points info, and you put this as a string, and then you just say set value to be turned on, which in Python you do it by writing set value true. And so now if you run this line of code and click enter, let's see what this will show us. Well, there you go. We have the position of each one of these particles in space, the world position of each one of them. So this actually changes over time. For example, if I advance one frame, the same particle now changes place, and of course this will have a certain coordinate in the world space. So why do you want to use this for? Well, sometimes it's useful to use this type of information to troubleshoot things that otherwise will be more difficult to troubleshoot. For example, if you want to show the particle IDs, you can also do that. The way that you do it is you go to point number, and now you just run this and let's see what we have. So we actually have one on top of the other. So here it's more visible, but because it's one over the other, we can't really see it. So this is one of the things to be aware of, which is every time that you enable and then you enable another one, you probably would think that if you enable one, the other one will be disabled, but that's not how it works. So you have to enable and disable each one of them at a time. So for example, now I have this one enabled, but I want to disable the other one. So the other one was the point info, so I have to go back, and instead of putting this to true, I'm going to put this to false. Now if I run it, that one is going to be disabled, but now I have the IDs as I had it before, but we couldn't see before because this was on top of the other one. So now I'm able to see each one of these IDs, and the IDs will stay there independently of whether or not this particle moves, because it's the ID of each one of these particles individually. So this is the type of stuff that can be helpful for you. Now, for example, if you want to show normals, you can also do that. Before we do that, let's disable this thing that we have in here, okay? And this was the point number, so we're gonna select that knob and run this as false, and now we don't have anything. So let's now open a cube, for example, and let's say that I want to show these normals. That can be useful for your own understanding of what normals are, for example. This might be helpful for you to really get your head around some of these concepts, but can be also useful to support your teams if you happen to lead them in terms of how to explain this or that concept. So for example, if I want to show the normals, I know that I have something called vertex normals. It's actually the first one. So if I put this now to true, so I can enable them, if I run it, now I have these normals available on every single object. So these normals will be the normals of the vertex, which means that this will change if you have, for example, less resolution. So if I now have this, now I have the normals just on the tips. By the way, worth remember or pointing out that this stuff is not going to be rendered through the scanline render. This is just for the viewing purposes only. You cannot render this, although you're seeing this in the 3D space. So this type of stuff can be compiled into a tool, and I already have that, and I called it viewer and answer. So here I'm able to choose whatever I want to see. So if I put this, nothing will show. If I want to see the position of each vertex, in this case, I can in space. Of course, depending on where I have this cube, these things will change. You see some of these numbers changing. So I have the points as well. I have the position UVs. I can have more than one selected if I want to, and I can have the normals, as I said before, which was this one here. It's up to you. This is more useful, if I'm honest, to highlight certain things on the particle system rather than anything else, although I already told you some of the applications that you can also use this for. But this type of behavior of showing certain things that are not available sometimes is very useful. I'm going to give you a different example. The OCIO color space and the color space node, right? So this one here has something, the color space has something that is very useful, which is this button here, which allows you to, swap the ins and outs very quickly. One of the things that is very frustrating about this knob in here is the fact that we don't have that. So sometimes if you want to exchange between the in and out knobs, we can't do it as easily as we do in this one. This is very annoying. But if I run a command so I can list all the knobs available, even the ones that are hidden, you'll see that this type of stuff is actually there. For some reason, Foundry didn't make this available, but you can do that, and you can actually change that behavior on your defaults in Nuke. For example, if I now use this expression to modify it slightly so I can list all the knobs, I can say that this will be Nuke selected node, and if I select this node and run it, you'll see that there's something here that will actually be that option. Let me show you. You see this one called reverse transform? This is exactly what we want. So if I go and type Nuke selected node and then go to that knob, this time instead of using set value, you're going to use set visible, because this is a knob that is not visible, and you're going to just say true. So if I run this, now I have this guy, right? So now I can choose this, and you'll see, although this is not changing, you'll see that this is actually changing. I'm going to show you. Okay, so I have this image. Let's say that I want to select the log of this file, for example, this one here. So if I now want to reverse it, I can. But look what happens, and this is actually also something to be aware of. If I now copy this node and put it here, this thing is gone. So you have to run this command again, which is very annoying. So you either run a command at a time, which I believe it's annoying, but now you see that you have the inverse of the previous transformation, or you change this in your defaults, which is also possible to do. So hopefully now you are aware that there are certain things hidden in Nuke that can be very beneficial for you. I showed you one that is more used for troubleshooting, as it was with the viewer and answer kind of a thing, and I showed you something that is actually very useful. Of course, you could have coded, this type of behavior in Python, but just for me to show you that this is actually in the node, except it's hidden for some reason that, quite honestly, I don't understand why is that. But in any case, you know that this is here and it's easier to change. So hopefully you liked it, and see you next time. How was it, guys? Liked it? It's different, right? A lot of things hidden for God knows what reason. There's nodes hidden, there's knobs hidden. Yeah, many different things. I don't know exactly why is that, but the thing to extract from what we talked about today is that there's always ways to go around. It's the same thing as you do comp, and you can do the same effect in very many different ways. The same happens with these things. So yeah, it's with the experience that you know these things, okay? This has nothing to do with the syntax of the language or anything like that. It has to do with the with how the nodes were built. And basically, it has to do with the API side of things rather than the syntax. That's basically what I'm trying to say. But it's with experience that you know these things. And sometimes you try, you think that maybe this will not do anything, and it turns out it does. So it's the same thing. So yeah, hope you liked it. And if you are in the beginning of your journey with Python, and I know that some people here are, this is one of the extra things that you can think of what you can achieve with Python. It's just an example. There's many different things more useful even than this, but I thought this was kind of different, so that's why I wanted to show you. All right, so it's time for our guests. And I said before that some of you know these guests, and it's true. I stand by what I said. So we'll see what I'm talking about, okay? We'll see right now. Okay, let's just put the separator on and we'll see what I'm talking about. Look who he is, our favorite German compositor. How you doing, man?
Good, I'm good.
Welcome, welcome.
I'm wearing something festive here. You mentioned the Euro Cup.
Yeah, so, it looks like we're in the Euro Cup, right?
Exactly. I know you're Portuguese, so I don't want to rub it too much under your nose. But
cool. Yes, I know, man. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was a difficult one. I know. This was like 2-3 days ago or something.
Yeah, on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, that was a difficult one. But listen, you were the rightful winners because, you played much better than what we did. So, congrats on that.
Thank you.
So, of course, we're talking about Sebastian and Sebastian Schütt, I should say. I'm not sure about my accent though. But,
perfect. It was perfect.
I know it's not perfect, but thank you for that. But so thank you so much for coming in. You're currently in Vancouver, right? So
yeah, exactly.
We just flew.
And it's super hot here. It's like a crazy hot day today, and I had to close all the windows because there's a lot of construction work going on. So when you see me like sweat away, that is
okay. Yeah, hot. But the summer is there. You told me like a couple of days ago, like the summer is really there at the moment. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went cycling at like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. this morning, and it was so hot. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's nice.
Is it
nice,
to be
it's nice.
expected, or is something that has changed over the years? Like this weather.
I mean, you know, with Vancouver, it's probably, I don't know, maybe similar to London, where you cannot really trust, you know, the weather forecast. It's kind of like 3 hours later, you plan a hike or something, and then 3 hours later, you know, you can go back home or something, you know, because it starts raining something.
Yeah.
So, but it's nice because they kind of like loosen some restrictions, right? So you can actually be outside, the patios are open and everything. So it's kind of like a good timing.
Cool. All right. Good to know. And I'm happy for you. It's better sun than rain, for sure, right? Especially this time of the year. Well, every time in the year, I would say. Anyway, so I told you this before. Your name was actually suggested by one of our reviewers many months ago. I can't remember who it was. I really can't. I thought about it after I told you this yesterday or something, and I can't remember. So I'm sorry to this person that I can't remember your name, but your name was suggested for sure for season 1. But season 1 was already, you know, in place with all the guests, so you know, we couldn't make it on that season. But here you are. You are actually the first artist on the artist side, because we had Debbie last time around, which of course it's not on the artist side of things, or it is, but in a different way. So you are definitely the first one this season. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And we actually have also sort of common friends or people that we know, like for example Sabine. That is Sabine's here, by the way. And I think Sabine, tell me if I'm wrong or right. You also mentioned Sebastian to be one of the guests, right? I think she did. Might be wrong though. But she was not the person that I was thinking. The person of I thought it was maybe Jacob, actually. Jacob, do you know Jacob?
Maybe I know Jacob. He's you know, I think he's also following my channel. So I know him from that for sure. Yeah.
Okay, probably was Jacob then.
So maybe because of that. Because Sabine, I haven't met personally. I think I know she's like good friends with Caroline Weidenhiller, which I studied with. So I think there's some connection, but you know, we're all somehow
connected, right? Yeah. We can be on the other side of the world, and the chances of we know each other or knowing, you know, common friends is like very, very high for sure. That's what happened here. So yeah, cool. So what I was about to say, let me just click here. What I was about to say just now is when I was prepping for this interview, and when I was thinking about like who mentioned Sebastian, I can't remember. And then I stumbled across one of your shots that you just collaborated just recently, kind of on the Blade Runner kind of style, kind of a thing. Yeah, what was that all about?
That was
it looks really good, by the way.
Sorry, again?
Looks really good, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it was actually a very quick turnaround, because a friend, Stefan, he wanted to test something, and then he, you know, got Arvid Schneider on board, who was also a big internet community out there, and so it was kind of like nice collaborating. I knew Arvid already from like years ago, also, and I don't know, it just made sense. I was actually really well surprised by Stefan's skills. I was like, okay, I'm on, you know, wherever I can help. And
looks really good. Looks simple, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. It's simple because there's not many things going on. If by the way, guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just head to, I think I saw this on LinkedIn, right, Sebastian? Yeah. Just head to the LinkedIn, and you know what I'm talking about. It reminds like a lot Blade Runner kind of a style, kind of a shot, right? It's very simple, as I was saying, very simple. But what some people don't realize, especially people that are starting out, is that it takes a lot of skill to achieve more with less, right? And less is definitely more at the same time. What's your view on this? Because you've been doing this for a long time, 10 or something years, right? And people they are not as experienced. They think that, okay, we receive all these layers, we put them like one over the other, we do some glow here and the glow there, and the shot is done. But it's not the case. Do you want to expand on that? Because I thought that was actually a very good example for some of the people that probably are watching us on the show.
I guess that might be something that I picked up when I was actually starting in the industry, because I'm from Germany, right? And back then, especially like over 10 years ago, there was even less budget than there is now. It's still not like big budget for German movies, right? Not even for the big ones. And so when I started out working for small visual effects companies, we were mostly working on small TV movies that still needed visual effects to tell a story. So the whole approach was basically, get it out as quick as possible, still with some kind of like quality level, right? So you had to be really efficient with what to do and what to use to make it to at least go to the like 95%, even if you don't hit like a full Hollywood quality standard or something. So I think it might be something like that is still in me, to I don't know, like really quickly in the situations that needed to switch to that mode.
Which is like evaluating, okay, I'm seeing this picture, this is what it needs, this is how you would look at this reality if this was like actually something that you were actually seeing in your day-to-day life or whatever, knowing exactly where to do stuff, not doing more than what it's needed, because if it's too much, it's too much and people will tell. It's just doing the right amount, and quite often the right amount is very little, but that takes a lot of experience and skill. So I thought that was a good example of this point, because as you probably know, and this reminds me of something that I would like to talk with you about also, but younger artists, they seem like they have to know all of these things and all of these tools, and they have to know it all, and they have to push buttons just because the button is there, and they have to do something to a picture just because that's what they're being paid for. No, they're not being paid for that. They're being paid as a compositor to evaluate a picture, see what's missing, and do that bit. And that bit can be very minor or can be very big, but it takes a lot of skill to know and experience to know what you actually need to do. So watching images help a lot, and of course doing the job for a good amount of time, of course, that's paramount, obviously. But as I was saying, this reminds me of a video that you posted a few months, maybe a couple of months or something, about like, it was sort of like your top 10 tips for younger artists to move to, become better at what they do, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Do you want to expand on that? Like, and can you remind everyone what that is all about?
The thing, that was kind of like it was called top 10 mindsets, I think, for junior artists, which was kind of like an important project for me. Just like the things you said, right? There's such a pressure of like, not pressure, but because it's so easy now to get to all those tools that do everything for you and everything, right? So I can see younger artists making big leaps in using those tools, but then there is kind of like a lack of that mindset that should come with you growing, right? And I actually I think you posted a couple of days ago that Albert Einstein quote that I also actually really like. Education is not the learning of facts, but the the training
of the mind.
Of the mind, yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I'm trying to tell with this, and also with the other videos on my channel, basically to kind of like give rapid fire stimulations for the brain, so to make the people think, right, for themselves, and not just follow or click or something, but to really understand, because then you almost want to go that route. I mean, I also went that route of like, okay, using
we've all been there. It's important also to underline that,
to come back to the roots again, right? Like you go crazy, you throw everything in there that you can find, and then I always wanted to add lens flares, I always wanted to have a rec defocus and all that stuff, and you load up a shot, and then it's really important to come back to the point where you realize again, okay, so what is actually rudimental, right, for a shot or for work or for myself working in this business as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, it's sort of, this might be like a bad analogy or a stupid analogy. I'm fine with that, that's okay. But it's like putting makeup, right? If you do just a little, that's okay. If it's too much, everybody will tell it it's too much, right? And you don't need that. Nobody needs that. It's just the right amount. You don't need more than what it's actually needed. So you know, but it's very tempting also especially for less experienced artists to, okay, what if I add this? What if I add this extra? What if I remember this yesterday? Let me try to add that also. And it turns out like after a while, it's just like sort of a clown, too much going on, and just, you know, take the things to the very basics. See what it actually works and what doesn't work. This is on the technical level, and then the mindset to get there, which is more towards what you're talking about on your video, is also super important, because it's very easy to lose track of what we're actually doing. Who am I as a person? Who am I as an artist? And you know, after knowing that, where can I take myself and how I get to where I want to be? And where I want to be doesn't mean that it's where everybody wants to be. It's me, it's not you, and everybody is different. I think that's also a very important thing to retain. All right, so Chris Fryer, hello Chris, good to see you again, just said, amazing to see such a fantastic guest on the show. Cool, so you have some fans here. Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. I transfer you the money later. All good.
So this was like a setup, yeah?
No.
No, I'm kidding. Cool. Yeah, good to see people participating. Obviously, it's always what this is all about. By the way, guys, if you have any questions for Sebastian, type them down. I always say this: type them down as soon as you remember, because otherwise I'll be, you know, on the conversation, and you know, if you don't type anything, it's just going to be me talking with Sebastian, not you. But so the goal is, since this is a live show, just take the opportunity if you want to, right? Cool. So yesterday, I write this one down as well, because last day we were on our test call, which is always what we do, and you, like, we were mentioning like this channel and your channel as well, and the things that you have in mind to do. And you said something that it's actually funny, and you're not the first person to tell me this, and of course everybody can see that, which is during this pandemic a lot of new things happen in terms of our world, with the VFX world, like loads of new channels from real people like you and like this channel as well. That's what at least my intention as well, and I'm sure it's yours as well. It's not like telling like all the beautiful things, but telling like the real things about what we do, and it's content coming from artists to artists. It's not like people just watching things like only from trainers and they have a space. That's okay. I'm not telling bad things about that space. I think it's also needed, but without a doubt that this pandemic opened that door, and I think a lot of people appreciated that. So thank you also from my part to do that with your channel, which, you know,
I actually also have to thank the people for the feedback and everything, because that show obviously, or the channel is also, like you said, born out of the pandemic, right? Is also, I truly believe, to keep me sane as well, right? Because I miss those interactions with like people at work, or like, you know, sharing knowledge and all that. So I think by that, even if it was sometimes like really stressful to produce those shows, in the end, you know, like getting the feedback and everything and seeing that it actually helps people and pushes people and does exactly what I intended to do, is helps me even more, right?
Yeah. I felt the same, like, because, you know, we were all like we couldn't talk with people all of a sudden, right? We were just on our homes, working from home, which is, you know, there's good with it as well, but you know, that connection was cut abruptly. So for me, it helped me to for sure to keep that connection, for sure. And it's funny that you're saying the same thing. And this was actually something, if I'm not mistaken, mentioned by Mads, one of our Mads Akbar. He said something along these lines as well. Like, we saw a lot of content happening from people in the industry, not people that are not currently in the industry, like active people, you know. And I think that was actually a very good thing. But yeah, tell me about your channel. For those of you that have been asleep for the past, I don't know, past year or something. How long do you have the channel?
One year.
1 year, right? Now. So the channel is called Split the Diff, right?
Exactly.
What is that all about? Do you wanna present the channel for these people that probably don't know? Because you have something planned as well, or actually already released something very interesting as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like 1 year ago, I think it was approximately around the time I created the channel, Split the Diff. I don't know, that term is just like so stuck with me, and I guess everybody else. We have that love relationship with that comment. Especially if it comes from the clients or something, right? And
for sure,
I don't know. It's still a term that has a lot of like meaning to it. It's not just annoying, but it also shows that you have to stay flexible and professional. You have to be able to adjust, and you have to have the courage to like combine two things, find the middle ground. And I don't know, it was just a term that really stuck to me. And I started out producing a show that is called Unleash the Node, which main focus is to basically take one of Nuke's nodes and then really look under the hood and then show some unconventional ways of using it. Because exactly what we talked about earlier, it's so easy to grab some plugins and then don't really know what they're doing, or not knowing that you can actually do some really crazy things with the simplest nodes. So I started out with the blur node and then continued with the transform node. And quite long
very
episodes,
interesting stuff.
It's and it just like takes a long time to produce, obviously, and it's very long shows. So that's why I took a little break for now from it, but we'll continue with it for sure. But
what do you mean? You just released a video this week, right?
Yeah, this is a different show. That is Nuke Timeout. So those are
okay. You're taking a break from the previous one. Got it.
From Unleash the Node, just at the moment, because I wanted to fire out, like I said, like just some rapid fire, to keep it a little bit interesting. And I actually stole the term from Chris Fryer, actually, of espresso style tutorial, because it's kind of like 3 to 6 minute quick tutorials, no small talk, no chit chat, just like information, and then just to like trigger the brain, right? And then I figured, okay, it is still sometimes quite a lot, and then people don't want to constantly rewatch and find the spot. So then I came up with the plan, okay, let's create a website where people can also follow up on those videos in form of a blog post. And plus they can also get all the downloads or maybe Python or Nuke scripts that I'm using in those videos. So it basically enhances the whole feeling. But first you have the rapid fire on YouTube, and then you can take a little bit of step back and go to the website. And that launched maybe like two weeks ago or something, splitthediff.com. And yeah, growing. I will add more and more stuff over the next few weeks, because I'm also enjoying some free time at the moment. So I have some time to actually fill it up.
Cool. You see, you heard Sebastian where to search for these things. If you don't know his channel, now website, with all of these things combined and some extra stuff as well. So thank you once again, Sebastian, from my part, to share that with the community. That's, I think everybody wins. We who produce content win as well, because there's a lot to learn from those experiences. People don't realize that unless you start doing, you start producing some content, right? I'm pretty sure you had the same experience, because I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna talk like just by myself, just explaining something. I mean, it didn't come natural. It didn't come natural to me. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. But yeah, a lot to learn for sure, and it takes a long time. Even if it's just 3 minutes, it takes a long time. Yeah. By the way, one of the things that I saw, that the perspective lines kind of a thing, great stuff. I showed something similar, just to heads up for everybody that watched last episode, that I showed something similar, but it's not the same thing, guys. Okay, it's not the same thing. As you will see, the math is not the same, and you won't be able to achieve the same things. It looks the same depending on the position, but is not the same. Okay, it's not the same. So it's a good combination, I would say. So yeah, you have two segments. So you were saying that you have the unleash the node, and then you have the timeout. Yeah, which is like with the yellow card, right? I love it.
Yeah.
What was the last one, by the way?
That was about the profile node, actually, because I was talking about performance timers in the episode before. So that is kind of like a second part to it, basically following up on that whole, topic of monitoring your performance.
Yeah.
Your Nuke script. Yeah.
Yeah. Something
interesting.
Yeah. I watched the first one. I didn't watch this one yet. Yeah, definitely something interesting to watch and to learn from, because sometimes things are very, very slow and you don't know where the problem is coming from. So that's always a good stop, see what you're doing, run that, see what else can you do about it to improve the situation. There's all these ways to improve the situation. Quite often we, as supervisors or leads and seniors as well, people are always complaining about, look at this fucking shot, this doesn't go anywhere and it's all stuck and it's not me, it's something that, I narrate or whatever. No, there's all these things that you can do. Yes, some things can be complicated, but there's all these things that you can do, and this is one of the cases. So if you don't know what we're talking about, watch this video from Sebastian for sure. And one thing that I would like to ask you about all of these things is, what's your inspiration behind these techniques? Because I like to see different things, and this is definitely something different. That's why I also would like to have you on the show, and here you are today. What's the inspiration behind this? Like, what is it because of your background, or it's something that you learn over the years? What's the inspiration behind?
I would say it's actually also something that I preached in that top 10 mindsets video, which is always try to get out of your comfort zone. And when I was in school, I was like really bad. I would say I didn't really learn that much because I didn't understand exactly the quote of Albert Einstein that we talked about, that it is not about learning things, learning the facts or trying to remember, right? It is of like really understanding and developing your mindset, your brain, widen it and extending it, right? And because I didn't see any purpose in everything, especially science-wise, math and physics, what they taught, like I couldn't see where to use it in real life, right? And then I quickly had to realize that in visual effects that everything is kind of like based on maths and physics, right? So then I suddenly had a purpose, and I had almost kind of like a refreshing urge to learn all that, right? And to catch up again. So then I started digging into it again. So it's actually, it's a big joy for me actually to rediscover all of that I just ignored in school because I didn't get what to do with it, right?
Yeah.
So that is, I think, the whole idea behind it of the start was to get me back into it and find the joy of all those techniques and how you can use math and physics and science with it.
Yeah, I totally, and it's funny that you're mentioning or putting things in that way, because I feel exactly the same. When I was in school, I wasn't necessarily bad at it, but I wasn't particularly good, or I wasn't good for sure, because I didn't have any interest on why am I, doing like all these rules. I'm here, multiply there, and then divide here. I mean, what the fuck is going on here? You know what I mean? There's no visual purpose of and I think that's actually something that when I was growing up, you think probably that it's all about the way that this country do things, probably other countries. And actually one country that normally Portugal refers a lot as in like being a good example of in terms of education, it turns out you had the same problem, is Germany. So what I normally say is good things and bad things that happen everywhere. And in school I had exactly the same thing. So I had to relearn all of these things, even when I was, because I have a background as a mechanical engineer, so I had more advanced kind of stuff. But for me, it was the same thing. I couldn't put like what's the purpose of all of this shit, And we had a lot of maths going on and all that stuff. And yeah, it took visual effects to say, wait a second. There's some things in here that I remember from somewhere, and there were instances in which I had to dig for old books of mine to see, okay, let me see if I can find the answer here. And but it's not necessary because the internet is filled with information anyway. But yeah, good. It's interesting that you just mentioned put it exactly in that way.
And something that I would like to add is also that if people are watching it and they don't really feel like they're that good in maths or something like that. And I'm afraid of like digging back into it or catching up, right? It's something that I realized in certain areas of life is that when you really have a passion for something, you can learn it so fast that you basically get better than people that are trying to hammer it in their head, like you know what I mean? It's like sometimes
Totally, yeah.
Even when I started studying visual effects, there were so many people that already had some like previous knowledge or even some like studied something similar before, right? But then that's actually when that whole burst in me happened, like after school, when I started studying, like, oh my God, this field interests me so much that I got such a boost that I would even say that I like in the end was better than some people that started with already previously having some knowledge, right? So
yeah,
don't be don't no reason to be afraid, to catch up on it. As long as you have passion, you will,
Exactly, and it's fun also because it's those little moments in which you discovered something that you didn't know before that keeps you going for the next thing, and you build your knowledge like brick by brick in this way. Like you're stuck in something, you probably, and this happened, and I always tell this all the time, and this happens to me so many times, even to this day, that I can't stress this enough, which is a lot of times I just want to quit when I'm developing something, whether it's pipeline tools or specific tools that I have to use, for example, Python to reach to a certain type of maths that I'm not too comfortable with, and I don't have too much knowledge, or I have a little bit of knowledge only, and because of that, I feel stuck. And what comes to mind is, fuck that shit, I'm not gonna do that. But don't do that, because it's within those little victories that's what keeps you going, because you probably have like a very good start and probably have the end picture already in your mind. It's the middle that you're missing, and once you have one piece of the middle part, a lot of other doors will open for you immediately and automatically, sort of. So it's fun to have that feeling as well. So I agree totally with you. And guys, if you're watching this, don't quit, just keep going. We and Sebastian, right? We promise you that you'll get there.
It is just your brain trying to trick you.
Exactly.
That is exactly the point of like where, if you now make the next step, that is where you get out of the comfort zone, and that just promises success, in what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Just get beyond that point.
Don't quit. Very easy to go on that route, but don't do it. We have
actually interesting. Just a little note. I just remembered that a friend told me he started to run marathons, right? And then he always also said he got to the point where sometimes he even like almost heard voices, like where the brain was really trying to trick him and told him to stop, right? And said, "Why are you doing this? You're also cool if you're not running a marathon. You don't have to show off anything. Your friends will still love you, blah, blah, blah." He heard those voices, right? And it's just the brain telling you, no, I'm exhausted. The body is exhausted. Stop or something, right? And then you push beyond that. And then now he's running, like a crazy man.
Exactly. So, the mental states, I think it's the brain controls everything, and you have much more in you. Everybody has, we all have much more in ourselves than we actually realize. Even if we are aware of that situation, there are always moments in which our brains will tell us directly or indirectly, man, it's not worth it. But it's just your mind playing tricks on you, basically. So we have some people here with some messages for you, Sebastian. So Nawel Alvarez, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, I'm sorry. It's he or she says, "Guten Tag, thanks for sharing your knowledge, Sebastian. I was working in Germany in the last year, and your videos are for every levels of compositing. That's hard to find on YouTube." So just a way to say thank you, I guess.
Thank you very much. Danke.
Another one from Mauricio. Hello, Mauricio. Good to see you again, man. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. I missed the beginning. I'll definitely have to check this one from the start because I love Sebastian's work. Look at this. Yeah, a lot of love coming your way. Hello from Vancouver, says Amanda. Bonjour from Montreal, says Louise Andrew. Mazarul has one question actually for you, which is, every time I struggle when I use the Nuke Z-depth node around edges. Is there, yeah, that's a very common thing. Is there any tips for fixing this issue?
Oof. I mean, that is a very wide field now, right? It could be caused by several issues, right? We have that the problem that nodes like defocus, they are working with you have to use anti-aliased values basically in order to. It's probably caused. That's like most of the like common mistakes that happen, right? Where the semi-transparent pixels also have semi-transparent z-depth values basically. So the depth is kind of like there's a false depth, and then you get those blurry edges because the tool assumes that the depth of that pixel is somewhere further in the depth. So I would think it's probably mainly that is, I don't know, maybe 90% of the cases that you have to use anti-aliased.
Yeah, I would say that there's, if I can complete your answer, there's also situations in which you have like a really abrupt change between the values of the depth and the background because there's no background. So you will jumping from values of, say, for example, 1000 to the infinity or to 0. And that abrupt change, you know, the Z defocus doesn't like that. If you use deep, you don't have that problem. But there are other ways to convert deep into normal Z data, so you can continue using the Z depth instead of going, you know, into those more expensive for the CPU nodes. They're very good, but very expensive for the CPU for sure. I'm talking about PJ Bokeh, for example, that I always avoid to use, not because I don't like the result, it's just because I don't like the slowness that comes with it.
So the result is beautiful, yeah, but it's
it's just a pain in the ass, isn't it? Yeah, by now well, I want to believe that they will release a version that it's definitely not as slow. At least I'm not gonna say really fast, but hopefully this is like actually we're all asking for that, by the way. So developers, I think it's Peregrine Labs who develops that. So if you're watching this at some point, please make that happen. Cool. So I think there's another question. Let me check. So you're super awesome, Seb, says Charan09. That's the nickname, I guess.
Oh, you.
Rui Branco, hey Rui, good to see you, man. Old friend of mine says Team Noakes calls that voice the central governor. I think what Rui is on about is like that voice in your mind saying just quit or something, and we have to fight that voice. I think that's what Rui is on about. Sabine is saying, by the way, Mazarul, that there's actually, and that's true, a video for AMJ, MJT Lab, that it's around this topic. So you can check that for sure. Another person with a very complicated nickname, TR3C001I91. Can't wait for Nuke 101 for lighters. You go, Seb. What is that?
That is actually, also on the list. Just to to give like a basic intro, not basic. Like I said, I'm always trying to like avoid that. There's tons of basic out there, right? But to have at least a few stimulants in there for so even for lighting artists to make it interesting to you, or like fun to use Nuke, right? Because I know sometimes it's just like, oh no, now we have to do that slot comp again, and then the big monster, we have to open the big monster Nuke or something, right? And like I said in school, I just didn't have the stimulants to learn math, right? I will try to give that to the lighting artists so that it is actually fun for them to open up Nuke. So at least some techniques maybe to help them. And
okay, that's pretty interesting. So yeah, guys, subscribe to Seb's channel, I would say, right? And go to his website, because apparently there's some things happening soon, right? I'm not sure. I'm just hearing this for the first time. So, but something you definitely have some plans. So that's a very good thing. By the way, I mentioned that you are in Vancouver, but you've been a little bit everywhere, right? You've been there for a few years now, but you've been a little bit everywhere. Of course, you're German, so you worked there. London as well, correct?
Yeah.
So you've been a little bit.
What's the first job back then?
Say again.
The first job was DNAC back then with Deborah.
With Debbie,
as my office manager.
Cool.
So it was actually good to see you on the show last time. So
it's been a while though, for you in London.
That was 2012 or something, and then I think I came back 2013. I would say, and then Germany, Ireland, and I think 2016 I moved to Vancouver, and so I'm here since.
Cool. All right. What I was about to ask you is, because you've been moving, all these years, which is always a good thing to do. So guys, if you don't, well, now nobody can move anywhere, and this is actually what I want to talk to you about. But I think it's a very good thing for everybody to experience, because there's a lot of things that you will learn with it, and you will meet a lot of different people, a lot of different works of working, and it's also fun because you're traveling. So for me, it's like a no-brainer, unless you can't for some reason. But if you can, I think everybody should definitely consider that, right? You agree with me on this? Otherwise, you wouldn't be moving so much, right?
No, that is exactly again part of the get out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Because that helps a lot, and that was also my main approach in the first years, to get every kind of combination: big companies, small companies, big projects, small projects, different countries, different cultures. And then, to be honest, it's so easy for us as visual effects artists to travel around, to see new places, and in most of the cases we even get the flights paid, right? So you go fly over, go for a job, and then just extend your stay, and then you can see more of the country. It's actually so easy for us. I'm really thankful for that, actually.
Yeah, for me it's like a no-brainer, unless many different people have different realities, of course, in terms of what they can or can't do. That's also part of the equation, obviously. But if you have the chance, I mean, for me it's you will get uncomfortable at times, for sure, but that's part of the growth. So that's and I think that's a very big part, I would say. But what I was about to ask you is, due to the fact that you've been traveling, for all these years around the globe, basically, and now you can travel, how did you see that change for yourself regarding the pandemic, due to the fact that we can travel now? Did you get to see your family and stuff like that, or you were sort of stuck there because you couldn't travel? How was that for you? How was that experience?
Yeah, I was kind of stuck for the last 2 years, and also my parents were supposed to come over, I think 2 years ago, just when it kind of started, because I think it was my mom's 60th birthday, and her birthday is 3 days after mine, so we actually wanted to celebrate together. Then they pushed the flight, and also that one had to get canceled. So that's a little bit annoying, but after all those years, we are used to having some distance, sometimes even between work permits. If there's a long processing time, you cannot leave the country. So I'm used to it. But I'm also looking forward to it. I haven't been home for Christmas in I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years or something. So I mostly came back because it makes more sense in summer, right? You want to hang out with your friends and you want to do stuff outside. But then I know that Christmas is really important for my grandparents, for example. So I can't stop pushing that around. I have to, as soon as possible,
of course,
come home for Christmas.
Yeah, it's crazy, what's happening, right? A lot of people found themselves in that situation, being stuck and not being able to go anywhere because of all these restrictions that are still in place in a lot of situations. So hang on there, guys. I would say, for people that are still in this situation, it's going to end at some point. But one thing that I also noticed that I would like to ask you about is that, if you notice also, is that a lot of people, because our industry is a very difficult industry, and it has its own intricacies in terms of it can be long hours for a lot of times, productions that they seem like they never go smooth at all for some reason. I have my suspicions why is that, but anyway, that's besides the point. But you know, a lot. I think I saw a lot of people like quitting like that lifestyle, like, and this happened because of the pandemic. People put their lives in perspective, like, what am I really doing here? Like, you know what I mean? For example, you are saying like you've been, it's been like 3 or 4 years that the last time that you went home for Christmas, and I think other people probably were in similar situation, and they said, you know, I'm gonna do something different with my life, you know what I mean? But at the same time, a lot of us, although, you know, that happens, we love what we do, we love this industry, right? And that's why, you know, we're still here, pretty much. But I noticed this change for the first time, really. People that and it's very easy to know this if you just open LinkedIn, and you'll see people moving around, right? And I noticed this for the first time. People are basically shifting their gears in terms of what it's really important for them, right? Did you notice that as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And sometimes I wish there would be an option in LinkedIn, you know, where you can actually trace all those movements. You know, like sometimes even like from company to company, sometimes there's a big call. I don't know, Weta is suddenly needs 300 people or whatever, right? And then suddenly everybody shifts over there, or then something happens, and then people are annoyed, like now, and then they're leaving the industry. Where are they going? You know, it would be nice to see like all those statistics, because they're actually available on LinkedIn, right? So it would be interesting to see. But I definitely noticed as well that people. I sometimes don't know if it's because it also seems to be a natural thing that after a certain amount of years, then people suddenly, you know, after like maybe 10 years, so people that you work with for 10 years, that they then suddenly, I don't know, a certain percentage drops out, right? Where they say like, okay, that's enough. And then other people continue. So I don't know, or if it's, but I would say definitely also caused by the pandemic, right? But
I think that's my impression as well. I don't know, because I'm yet to speak to one of these people to know exactly what was the thought process. But it seems like it's a trend, and not only in our industry. I'm not singling, you know, our industry out of this. I think this happened in different industries, but with ours, because it's such a passion kind of a job. I was surprised because I didn't see this before, and I've been doing this like yourself for many years. So yeah, it's an interesting time for sure. But I think there's a lot of good things that will come from this. I want to believe that for sure. One of them is, for example, working from home, right? We discussed this briefly yesterday. I think like only working from home doesn't work, necessarily speaking, in a good way, but having this flexibility, I think that's where the key is, right? How did you guys cope? You were at that time at DD, right? How did you guys cope working from home at that time? How was that process?
It was actually, I can remember in the beginning, it was cool. Like it felt cool, you know. It was almost like being sent home for me, you know, personally, from like school when it was too hot. I don't know, we had a term in Germany, hitzefrei, if it's like too hot, you know,
really?
it has to go beyond a certain degree, and then by law they have to send you home. It almost felt like that for the first few days or weeks, right? Like, oh, it's so exciting, you know, like from home. But then at some point, obviously, you get that dip suddenly where you realize, oh, okay, but I also can't talk to anyone, and I'm sitting in that. I was living in a different apartment back then, so I was sitting in a really tiny room, and I don't know. It can, and also doing a night shift actually. So it can feel a bit depressing for sure, right? So that's why, like I said, like those videos also helped me a bit, like staying sane, right? But yeah, I mean, I would definitely like to go back or have some mix or something, right? Because I know like a lot of people are maybe like afraid that, oh no, it might take some freedom away from me again. But I sometimes realize, or when I want to add new things to my life, you know, I usually do it in a moment or in a phase where I'm not in a routine mode. So when I'm off work, for example, let's say I want to learn a new language, or I want to start a new workout training program or something. I tend to do that when I'm off, because then I can focus on integrating it into my life. And then when I go back to the routine, it's an automatic thing. So I think everything that we now learned and discovered with ourselves, you know, during the pandemic, like even if we go back to work, it will still, some parts will still maintain, and I will still have the energy to produce those videos after work and everything, even if I have to commute, because it's so integrated in me now, right? So I'm not too afraid, and it would definitely be great to like have lunch with some people and a coffee break, a little walk outside, and just share knowledge and small talk.
Yeah, because we're people, normally speaking, like to be with people, although there's a lot of especially in our industry, a lot of shy people that don't like to talk with anybody, it seems. But even that category of people, I think they miss that for sure, that they miss that interaction, and I think there's like more to be achieved if we are surrounded by people rather than doing things by yourself only. If you don't have a chance, like we didn't with this pandemic, I mean, you have to do what you have to do, right? But if that's not the case, I think there's a lot to gain with, at least with this combination of working from home a few days and go to the studio to solve some more urgent matters or to have meetings or something like that. And I think that's how. Do you feel the same, like over there? That's how people are, basically the talks are going on in that direction, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I think that's what most of like my friends and colleagues, what I can hear, that the word mix comes up quite a lot. Yeah.
Cool. So let's see if we have any more questions. We have one question, guys. If you have more questions, this is the time, okay? Because we are 20 minutes in. Fucking hell, we passed the hour. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Cool. So the question is from, I'm gonna try to say the name again, TR3COOI91. This is obviously a cyborg name. So, Bean, you are at Trix. This is actually not a question for you. It's a question for Sabine. Basically, you are at Trixer, right? Miss the sweetie summers in the Munich office. Well, you can relate with this probably because you worked there as well, right? Yeah. I don't know what you guys are talking about because I've never been there, not even on holiday, but I want to believe that's a good thing. Definitely a good thing. All right, guys, if you don't have more questions, I think this was a very interesting chat. Thank you so much, Sebastian. It would be great.
For having me.
I will be here like for another hour for sure, as if we were at the pub. We're not at the pub, unfortunately. maybe one day.
that I also miss a lot, like especially the London pubs. Man,
I miss
Friday
that.
night.
Yeah, I missed that. Actually, I went to the pub the other day with a friend of mine, and it had been 1 year for him last time he was at the pub. So and we were on the phone today, and he was like, "Yeah, man, it was more than 1 year." So it felt great. Yeah, and it's great. It's great to be surrounded with people for sure. Cool. All right. No more questions. So I want to believe that everybody's satisfied with what they got from you and from the show today. Let's assume, right? And thank you once again, Sebastian. And we'll see everybody in a couple of weeks. As you know, new content will be posted every week this season. So that's the case. You also have on the description of the channel of this video, you have like where to access to that free bundle if you're interested in that. So yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye everyone. Bye. Stay on. Yeah.
Bye.
Stay on, Sebastian. Don't go anywhere. Yeah. Bye.